DFS community, welcome into the Week 11 edition of one of the most accurate DFS shows in the industry. This is episode number 91 of the Adjusted Line Play Report, where we take a deep dive into the play in the trenches to determine game script and player outcomes. The show is presented by Zilla Fantasy Elite. I am your host, Todd Hoffman. You can find myself over on Twitter at Todzilla1337. You can find Zilla Fantasy Elite over on Twitter at Zilla Fantasy. All right, folks, we are going to get into it. We actually won't jump into the main slate right away. Let's get up to the Madrid game. So we do have another early one this week. I believe this is the last one before we get back to all United States games and no more of these early morning ones, especially for those on the West Coast, particularly early for them. Anyway, we will just probably jump right into this, give a nice recap of this game. If you're new here, like we had mentioned, we do look at the play in the trenches, so offensive and defensive line play pitted against each other. And that is very predictive many times in terms of what the game script is in that and which players will have a solid game. So we're going to look at the Madrid game here as an island game matchup and then jump into the main slate for everybody. And then we'll get into two more island games on Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. So kicking it off here with Washington and Miami facing off in Madrid. Technically a home game for Miami here. They are 2.5-point favorites in this game with a Vegas game total of 47.5. That 47.5 pretty healthy there. At that stage, I'm looking at probably the optimal lineups all have skill position players in there. Really not looking at defenses or kickers, at least based off of the game total from Vegas in that scenario. Things may change when we actually look at the numbers here, but at 47.5 game total, the 2.5-point favorite for Miami gives them a team implied total of 25 points, and Washington there at 22.5 points for their team implied total. Washington side really bad, number 27 in offensive pass protection, but fortunately for them, Miami 25th in the pass rush. Normally we'd say, hey, Washington taking a lot of sacks. In this game, though, with Miami's defense, it looks like they will not be under as much pressure as they have been used to throughout the entire season. So I'd expect Mariota to have a little bit more time than he's used to throw the ball around here in Washington. Still got injuries there to Terry McLaurin, so he will not be available. I really haven't seen Debo get involved recently, so pass game options are pretty limited, pretty much outside of Debo Samuel and Zach Ertz. We don't have a ton of good options there, but it does look like they should have time to throw. The pass DVOA, Washington 16, Miami 29. This is a big favor for Washington's offense, so more time to throw the ball. They should be more effective when they do throw the ball. Would expect Marcus Mariota to have a pretty solid game here against Miami based off of what I'm seeing here, especially if it's a close game or they're down. We should see them be pretty effective passing it. In the run game, Washington 18 across the board in run blocking and run DVOA. Miami, though, number 11 and number 6 in run DVOA. So pretty heavy favor there for Miami. You know, pretty about 6 apart there in the run stopping. Tells me Washington probably not going to be successful on a play-by-play basis in terms of gaining positive yardage all that often. But then the run DVOA, how explosive, are they going to be scoring touchdowns, anything like that? Does not look likely for Washington's run game. If they're going to be moving the ball, likely going to be through the air and on the arm of Marcus Mariota. Now on the Miami side, they're number 8 in offensive pass protection, not taking a ton of sacks. Washington, though, 13th in that pass rush, slightly above average there. Nothing too crazy here. I'd assume standard day at the office, so to speak, for Mr. Tua Tagovailoa in this matchup. Pass DVOA, though, very interesting. Miami has not been good in that regard, number 23, but we have Washington, number 27 in pass DVOA. This tells me that Miami, standard day at the office in terms of pass protection, they should actually be able to be pretty explosive passing the ball here. It's going to be very good for Jalen Waddle, I believe, in this matchup. I don't know who else, you can really lean on in that Miami pass attack. If they had Darren Waller back there, I'd be a fan of his. I don't think he is back yet from his injury. And then Devon Achane always gets involved in the pass game. We could see him be very explosive in this matchup as well. And then the run blocking side, we see Miami at number 28 in run blocking, Washington number 16. Pretty heavily in the favor here of Washington. I would expect Miami run game to get hit at or behind the line of scrimmage fairly frequently in this matchup. And the run DVOAs, though, pretty even. And usually when I say even up matchups, that's where I say, hey, the running back there, if they are a stud, they can overcome these even matchups such as this to rip off some big plays. So Devon Achane also looks like a pretty healthy option, not only in the pass game potentially, but also this run game. Despite being a little bit more volatile, maybe getting hit at or behind the line of scrimmage frequently, he should still be able to rip off some big gains here against this Washington team. And then Washington should be able to keep pace here with the pass attack, so kind of an interesting one. In terms of neutral situation, Washington number 5 in neutral situation pace to play. Miami number 26. Nothing too crazy here. Expect a little bit slower per play matchup for everybody here. But that 47.5 game total does sound pretty good. I think Miami's got some explosive players that can put up some points based off of the matchup here. Washington, while the run game isn't particularly effective, that pass game does look like it will be effective. Washington's kicker could get into play here where perhaps Washington's moving the ball pretty effectively with the pass game, but maybe they get behind the sticks a few times with some bad runs in that run game and end up kicking some field goals. Wouldn't be shocked to see their kicker with 2 field goals in this. And really, if I'm playing DFS, probably looking for Washington, Marcus Mariota, and some pass catchers there, along with Waddle and Achane from the Miami side. Do I want to? Perhaps. Kind of depends. There's not a ton of players here, though, that look like they have opportunities for tons and tons of points outside of perhaps Mariota and Achane here and Waddle. All right, now we're going to get into the main slate here. We have Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Hopefully you learned something from the Island game matchup. We do have a 49-point Vegas game total, so very healthy here. It's a 5.5-point Vegas line here for Pittsburgh as the home favorites here on that 49-point game total. That actually gives Pittsburgh a 27.25 team implied total, which is number 1 on the main slate for team implied totals. Cincinnati at 21.75 is 14th, and that I believe is out of 22 total teams. Cincinnati 10 in pass protection, Pittsburgh 11 in pass rush. I'd expect them to be able to get after the quarterback a little bit here. Flacco probably needing to get the ball out a little bit quicker than he would like in this matchup. Pittsburgh number 12 in pass DVOA, Cincinnati 19 in pass DVOA. Slight favor there for Pittsburgh's defense. Again, probably needing to get the ball out a little bit quicker. That probably favors more Jamar Chase than it does T. Higgins, and perhaps some of the dump offs to the running backs and tight ends getting involved there, but nothing too crazy here in that pass game. The run game, though, run blocking from Cincinnati 22, Pittsburgh 18. Pretty even there. Slight favor for the defense, but really nothing to write home about there. But the run DVOA completely flipped. Cincinnati 4 in run DVOA, Pittsburgh number 24 in their run DVOA. Really expect Cincinnati to be very, very effective here in their run game in this matchup. So with that big of a discrepancy there, I'd expect Cincinnati's offense to be pretty explosive running the ball, so that's pretty good for Chase Brown here. I know Pittsburgh has been more of a pass funnel defense, but this is really looking good for Chase Brown and company on the ground here against Pittsburgh. Then on the Pittsburgh side, they're 13th in offensive pass protection. Cincinnati number 32 in that pass rush. Should have plenty of time for Aaron Rodgers to get the ball out. Pass DVOA, Pittsburgh's been pretty bad at 25, but Cincinnati dead last, number 32 in pass DVOA. To be honest, I think they're on a historic pace for points given up to the tight end, and sounds like they are so far and above second place in terms of, or current first place in terms of the tight end fantasy points given up, that they should have that surpassed in like week 15. You still have 16, 17, and 18 to go on those fantasy points. So almost 3 games worse than the next closest worst tight end defense in fantasy history. So Pittsburgh does love their tight ends. I could see all three of them doing pretty well here. Just a FYI on that. There should be plenty of time to throw the ball. Jonnu Smith, Pat Fryermuth, and Darnell Washington probably in play in DFS and for starting in your lineups, as crazy as that may sound. Run game should also flourish. Pittsburgh 14 in run blocking, 7th in run DVOA. Cincinnati, the only one that they're not ranked 32nd in is defensive run DVOA, and that is at 31st. So Pittsburgh should score plenty of points on this matchup. I do agree with the 27.25 team implied total there. I'd expect them to put up a lot of points here. Cincinnati maybe struggles a tiny bit in that pass game. That run game should actually be pretty good in this. I do like their chances of putting up points too. This does look like a shootout potential. Nice when the Vegas game total matches up with what we see on paper, so it should be good there. Pittsburgh a little slower, 20th in neutral situation, but Cincinnati very fast at number 2. So I'd expect them to be able to put up some points and rattle those plays off for our fantasy teams this week. All right, and then we got 3 games actually tied for number 2 on the main slate at 48.5 Vegas game total. First one, we're going to look at Chicago and Minnesota, NFC Central matchup here. Minnesota 2.5 point home favorites on that 48.5 total gives them a 25.5 team implied total, which is 5th best on the main slate. Chicago at 23 as the underdogs is a 10th best on the main slate. Get down to 22 teams. Chicago side number 11 in pass protection. They're doing a good job about not taking sacks this year. Minnesota, though, number 6 in defensive pass rush. So they are able to generate some pressure. That should lead to Caleb Williams be under pressure here, needing to get the ball out a little bit quicker. Usually that leads to dump offs and underneath throws, tight ends, running backs, and anybody that is like slot receiver, like Olamide Zaccheaus, may have a little bit better matchup here against Minnesota if they're getting the ball out quick. But we do know Caleb Williams not very good while under pressure. He could certainly have some turnovers and stuff there. Pass DVOA, Chicago 14, Minnesota's defense at 19. Slight favor there for Chicago. Run blocking wise, Chicago number 3 in run blocking, Minnesota 8th in stopping the run. Chicago number 11 in run DVOA, Minnesota 14. Both of those slightly in the favor of the offense here, but nothing too crazy. Wouldn't expect anything much different than what you've been seeing from that Chicago run game so far this season. It does look like they will be able to, move the ball, but it's going to be a grind to get their yards and get their points in this matchup against Minnesota. In Minnesota. Minnesota side, 30th in offensive pass protection. Chicago 15th in that pass rush. I'd expect J.J. McCarthy to be under a little bit of duress here from that Chicago defense. Fortunately, though, that pass DVOA is even up 26 apiece. In those scenarios, they say studs eat, and Minnesota definitely has a stud in Justin Jefferson, so would not be shocked to see him with a monster game, especially if him and McCarthy can hook up on some of their throws. He's been a little erratic here to start his career, but that gets underway here at home. We could see Justin Jefferson with a pretty big game here against Chicago. Wouldn't be shocked to see him go over 150 with a touchdown or 2 against Chicago in this. Not saying it's likely, but I would definitely not be shocked if that does happen. Run game wise, does look pretty good for Minnesota. 10th in run blocking, Chicago 19th. Pretty big favor there for Minnesota. And then run DVOA for Minnesota 14th, a little bit above average. Chicago at 25 is in the red. So I'd expect Minnesota to be able to move the ball very effectively on the ground. Aaron Jones looked like he was dominating that backfield last week. So I'd expect that to continue. If they do get up in this game against Chicago, because it does look like their offense should move along pretty well, Chicago might have to grind theirs out. You could see a little Jordan Mason involvement, but I think it's really Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, I think are the main targets here for the Minnesota side. Neutral situation pace of play, Chicago 7, Minnesota 13. Both teams do play a little bit fast in regards to the rest of the NFL, so it should be an interesting one here. I do like that Vegas line, seems pretty appropriate. Nothing to write home about, but expect Justin Jefferson and Aaron Jones probably have pretty good games. And then Chicago side, it'll just be interesting to see who ends up getting those. It's probably going to be one of those standard day at the office for their offense. All right, and the next number 2 game on the slate is another divisional matchup here. Seattle heading into Los Angeles Rams for an NFC West matchup. Los Angeles Rams are 3-point home favorites on that 48.5 Vegas game total, giving the Rams a 25.75 team implied total, third best on the main slate. Seattle at 22.75 is the 11th best, again, out of 22 teams. Do see a lot of green in these matchups. Really good offenses, really good defenses. So should be a very fun game to watch. NFL-wise, how it'll be in fantasy. Seattle number 3 in offensive pass protections. Rams number 15 on paper. This is a slight favor here for Seattle. Expect them to have actually some time to throw in this, despite the Rams being pretty good at pressuring the quarterback. Doesn't look like they'll be getting a ton of sacks in this. They are number 1 in pass DVOA, Rams number 8. Normally I'd say, hey, Seattle's pretty good in this department. They just might find it a little bit more of a struggle in this matchup to be super explosive. It's probably more of a Jackson Smith and Jigba volume game than it is a Jackson Smith and Jigba efficiency game in this matchup. So PPR-wise, I think I would not be surprised if Jackson Smith and Jigba does have, double-digit reception total in this matchup. If you're betting the overs on his receptions, go ahead and move that slider into the double digits. I think would not be shocked to see him with over 9, 10 or more receptions in this matchup. Run game wise, Seattle a little bit behind the ball. They are 20th and 21st. The Rams are 12th and 5th in stopping the run. So I'd expect if Seattle's going to move the ball, certainly looks like it's going to be through the air. That run game going to struggle a little bit here against that Rams defense. Rams side, 13 in offensive pass protection, a little bit above average. Seattle, though, 7th in the pass rush. I'd expect them to be under a little bit of duress. Need to get the ball out a little bit quicker. Puka and Devontae Adams certainly capable of getting open quickly, so I don't think it's going to affect them as much as you'd expect, and they do get heavy packages in there and utilize their tight ends quite a bit too, which also kind of benefits them in these scenarios where they might need to get the ball out a little bit quicker. Pass DVOA, Seattle the only team better than the Rams, so Rams number 2, Seattle's defense though number 5. Pretty even matchup here in those scenarios. We do like to say studs eat. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, both good. They probably eat in this one, despite the matchup here being very interesting. Run blocking side, very even here. Rams number 1 and number 3 on offense. Seattle number 3 and number 2 on offense. So biggest discrepancy there is Seattle number 3 in stopping the run. The Rams number 1. I would say, in these scenarios, it's pretty even up. Studs eat. I don't think Kyron Williams necessarily a stud at the running back position, despite being a fairly good fantasy producer here. I think he's good at football, just not elite enough to overcome a matchup like this. I think he struggles a little bit in this matchup compared to what we've seen so far this season, so just be aware of that. It does look like the Rams here also, if they're going to be moving the ball, probably going to be a little bit better in that pass game than they will be in that run game against the Seattle team. So both teams probably relying a little bit heavier on the pass side to move the ball in this matchup. Should be interesting one there. Rams do play quick at number 13. Seattle middle of the pack at 16th for pace of play. All right, third game of 3 tied for 48.5 on that Vegas game total, at least as of Friday night's recording here. San Francisco heading into Arizona, another NFC West matchup. So San Francisco are 3-point road favorites heading into Arizona here. That gives them a 25.75 team implied total, third best on the main slate. Arizona at 22.75, 11th best. Both of those are tied with the other NFC West counterparts on their team implied totals. San Francisco side, 5 in offensive pass protection, 21st for Arizona's defense. I'd expect Brock Purdy, who is going to start in this game, to have plenty of time to throw the ball, which is very nice. Pass DVOA-wise, San Francisco has been very good, number 4. Arizona has been very good in that department, despite the pass rush stuff not being as good. They are number 9 in pass DVOA, so I'd expect it to be a little bit more of a struggle If you got studs, they'll eat in that scenario, but I don't think San Francisco's got any studs on the wide receiver team other than George Kittle. So maybe it's a George Kittle game here against Arizona. Run blocking side, San Francisco 17th, Arizona 29. Expect Christian McCaffrey and company there in San Francisco to be able to move the ball forward on most of their runs. Run DVOA wise, Arizona a little bit in the lead there on defense at 18, San Francisco 23rd. So while they're going to be gaining forward momentum, I wouldn't expect a ton of super explosive plays here. A little bit behind the ball in that regard for San Francisco. Arizona side, for offense, 29th in pass protection, not very good, but San Francisco 28th in that pass rush. Tons and tons of injuries here for San Francisco, so that's going to play in the favor for Arizona's offense. I would expect them to have more time than they're used to throw it. Now with Marvin Harrison Jr. out, it will be interesting to see how that plays out. San Francisco 25th in that pass DVOA, Arizona 22nd in offensive pass DVOA. So Arizona should be very effective throwing the ball. Jacoby Brissett in this does look very good, surprising as that may be. It does look like he should have a pretty solid matchup here against San Francisco. Pass catching wise, we know he's going to target the heck out of Trey McBride, but it could be Greg Dortch and Michael Wilson getting involved as those other pass catchers this week with Marvin Harrison out. Run blocking wise, Arizona 29th and 28th, both red. San Francisco 24th and 22nd. Do expect Arizona's run game to be more effective than it has been in the past against this poor San Francisco defense, but the pass game does look like the better of the two matchups. Both of them pretty even up. But yeah, looks like Arizona should be okay moving the ball. I would expect San Francisco to be able to move the ball through the air and be all right on the ground game. Do like the prospects of this one, also at the 48.5 of reaching that level. San Francisco does play pretty quick at number 6, Arizona number 12, inside the top half, both of them. So interesting one there. Would expect some points to be put up in this as well. So good job to Vegas on that 48.5 game total. Now getting into the 5th game on the main slate, we do have Tampa Bay heading into Buffalo. It's a 5.5 point favorite here for Buffalo at home on a 46.5 Vegas game total. It does give Buffalo a 26 team implied total, good for number 2 on the main slate. Tampa Bay down at 20.5 is good for 17th out of 22 teams on this main slate. Buffalo side, pass protection number 7. Buffalo's pass rush number 4. Expect them to be under a little bit of duress here while they head into Buffalo. Needing to get the ball out a little bit quicker there in Tampa Bay. Might see a few more passes to Cade Otton, to the running backs here in this matchup. Pass DVOA is even up 15 for Tampa Bay, 17th for Buffalo. In those scenarios, we do like to say studs eat. Wouldn't be shocked if Egbuka does have a good game here against Buffalo. Run blocking wise, Tampa Bay 11th, Buffalo number 7 in stopping the run. Pretty even there. And this was really how well do they do on their line play in terms of stopping the run behind the line of scrimmage, or, you know, if the offensive line is not very good, getting stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Run DVOA wise, Tampa Bay 25th in offense, Buffalo 30th in that run DVOA on defense. I'd expect that run game actually to be better than they have been so far this season, despite the kind of play-by-play matchup being pretty even as well. Does look like an interesting one here, but pretty even across the board for that Tampa Bay offense against the Buffalo defense. Buffalo offense side, number 21 in pass protection. Tampa Bay number 10 in that pass rush. I'd expect Josh Allen to be under a little bit of duress here from that Tampa Bay defense. Pass DVOA, Tampa Bay number 6, Buffalo number 11. Again, slight favor here in the defensive side, so doesn't look like a great matchup to pass against Tampa Bay. I know they are more of a pass funnel defense, but this doesn't look like a good spot for Buffalo. Run blocking wise, we do see Tampa Bay number 1 in run blocking, Buffalo number 2 in run blocking on offense. So pretty even matchup there. And then the run DVOA number 4 for Tampa Bay, Buffalo number 2. They do have a really good run unit here in Buffalo. Tampa Bay, a really good run unit on defense. I expect James Cook, though I think he is very good. He may be able to overcome a matchup like this if Buffalo's going to move the ball, it's probably going to end up being through him in a scenario like this. If Buffalo needs to get the ball out quickly, we could see him with some additional targets in this matchup, and going to Khalil Shakir as well, which will be interesting. I'm going to just go ahead and let's do the upset. Tampa Bay potentially goes into Buffalo here and upsets them. I think this Vegas line of 5.5, with everything that's going on paper here, I think it's going to be a lot more of a close-fought battle. I think Tampa Bay may shock some people with how close this is in the fourth quarter, maybe even upsetting them. If you're betting the lines and all of that, I would say Tampa Bay probably covers in this, if not wins outright against Buffalo. Will be an interesting one to see what happens there this Sunday. All right, number 6 game total on the main slate out of 11. We have Kansas City heading into Denver for an AFC West matchup. 45 Vegas game total there. Kansas City 3.5-point road favorites, giving them a 24.25 team implied total, which is good for 7th best on the main slate. Denver at 20.75 is the 16th best out of 22. Kansas City side, number 15 in pass protection, so middle of the pack there. Denver, though, number 1 in pass rush. Very, very good this year. I expect Mahomes to be under a little bit of duress. Probably going to see, 5 to 7 rush attempts from him in this matchup as he's getting pushed out from Denver. Their pass DVOA is very good at number 4, so I don't know if their players are going to be getting open as well as you would hope. I do think they did have some injuries there along the cornerbacks. I don't recall whether or not they're going to be available in this matchup, but watch out for that. If they're out, Kansas City might be a little bit better. Pass DVOA is even up 5 versus 4. Again, in those scenarios, we say studs eat. Rashee Rice seems to be that for Kansas City, and he is more of somebody, if they need to get the ball out quickly, he will be there. So Kansas City kind of built on that with Rashee Rice and Juju Smith-Schuster and Travis Kelce and Kareem Hunt and Brashard Smith, all of those guys kind of underneath pass targets. So they can overcome a matchup like this where Denver may be getting after them a little bit, but wouldn't be shocked to see Mahomes dumping it off quite a bit and actually scrambling quite a bit in this matchup. The run blocking side, Kansas City 7-5, Denver 5-3 on defense. Really even up matchup here. Kansas City, though, it does look like the Kareem Hunt show, being spelled by Brashard Smith at times. I don't know how well this is going to go. It does look like an interesting one where, pretty even matchup here. I don't know. Offense probably going to look a little bit worse than it has so far this season for Kansas City. Denver's defense is pretty solid there. This does look like it's going to continue this week in that fashion, despite Kansas City being pretty good. I think they're going to struggle a little bit compared to usual. On the Denver side, they do not take a lot of sacks. They're first in pass protection. Kansas City 20th in that pass rush. Bo Nix probably has some time to throw the ball in this matchup. Just watch out for that. The pass DVOA is pretty even up, 16-17. Nothing too crazy here, but if they do have a lot of time to throw, Troy Franklin would be an interesting dart throw in DFS. Could see him hooking up with Bo Nix on a long pass, 60, 70-yard touchdown in a game like this where they have some time to throw it. Run blocking side, Denver number 9 in run blocking, Kansas City 21st in stopping the run. I expect Denver to be very successful moving the ball forward when they do run. In terms of explosion and touchdowns and stuff, run DVOA-wise, Kansas City 13 on defense, Denver 24th on offense. Would not expect them to be explosive despite moving the ball forward, on a attempt-by-attempt basis. Will be interesting there with J.K. Dobbins out how much we do see R.J. Harvey get involved. Doesn't look like a game where they necessarily need to get the ball out quickly either, so be a strange one here. I think this Vegas game total 45 seems a little high based off of what I'm seeing here in the offensive environments, but both teams pretty quick. Kansas City number 10, Denver number 5 in neutral situation pace to play. So it could get there, but I would, if I had to bet my life on it, probably say this game hits the under. All right, next game on the main slate, we have the Los Angeles Chargers heading into Duval County, Jacksonville here. So that is a 43.5 Vegas game total now at the number 7 game total on the week. Chargers are favored by 3 on the road. That gives them a 23.25 team implied total, 8th best on the main slate. Jacksonville at 20.25, 18th best on the main slate. Chargers 20th in pass protection, a little bit below average. Jacksonville 30th in that pass rush, one of the worst teams in the league. Chargers should have some time to throw the ball in this, more than they have been used to. I know Herbert's been pressured, I think, more than any other quarterback in the league, and by a long shot so far. This probably ends this week. I would expect them to be able to withstand Jacksonville's pass rush this week. Pass DVOA-wise, Chargers 12th, Jacksonville 20th. I expect Herbert to be very successful here. He's got time to throw. They should be somewhat explosive here. Watch out for those pass catchers. Run blocking wise, Chargers 24th, Jacksonville 14th. Pretty heavy favor there for the defense. Wouldn't expect a ton of, or I'd expect quite a few times where the running back's getting hit at or behind the line of scrimmage in a matchup like this. Run DVOA wise, Jacksonville 12 on defense, Chargers 19 on offense. It does look like one of those scenarios where the pass game is going to be how the Chargers move it. That run game probably a little bit behind the 8 ball in this matchup. Jacksonville side 22 in pass protection, so well below average. Chargers number 11. I'd expect them to be able to generate some pressure here against Trevor Lawrence, flush him out of the pocket, need him to get the ball out a little bit quicker than you'd hope for. So tight end targets, running back targets. Anybody coming out of the slot and running underneath targets, always going to be favored in scenarios like that. Pass DVOA wise, Chargers very good at 7. Jacksonville in the red at number 24. Would not expect Jacksonville's offense to be very explosive through the air. Not much time and not very explosive. Not looking good for Jacksonville's pass game this week. Run game is the opposite. They're number 8 in run blocking. Chargers 15 in stopping the run. Expect the Jaguars to be pretty successful moving the ball forward when they do run, and then they may be very explosive at times when they are running. So Jacksonville 10 in run DVOA, Chargers 26. That's red-green matchup in the favor of the offense this time. If Jacksonville's going to move the ball, they're going to do it on the ground. Might be a scenario where we do see Jacksonville kicker get quite a bit of involvement where, hey, the pass game is effective. Maybe they get behind the sticks a little bit. And then the pass game is not very effective. They start getting into those scoring ranges because of that run game, and then they stall out. Maybe they get hit behind the line of scrimmage, take a penalty, something like that, and then they're not able to pick up the first down after that. So Cam Little, probably a pretty good option in fantasy this week. Would not be surprised if he has 2 or 3 field goals in this matchup. Offenses are above average in terms of pace of play. Jacksonville 8th, Chargers 13th in neutral situation. All right, and we're dropping off quickly. Number 8 game total on the main slate is at 42.5. Green Bay heading into New York Giants Stadium there as 7-point road favorites. That gives Green Bay a 24.75 team implied total, 6th best on the main slate. Giants at 17.75 are ranked 20th out of the 22 teams. Green Bay offense, number 4 in pass protection, number 9 in pass DVOA, both green. Giants number 19 and number 18 in those categories. Expect Jordan Love to have lots of time and to be very explosive when passing the ball here against the Giants. Run blocking wise, Green Bay number 12, run DVOA number 16, Giants number 30 and number 32. Expect Green Bay to be very effective running the ball. Bad defensive matchup here for the Giants. Would expect Green Bay to be able to move the ball at 24.75. Team implied total seems awfully low for what I'm seeing here. I'd expect Green Bay to put up more than 3 touchdowns and a field goal in this matchup. I think they're going to be pushing 30 to 35 points in a game like this. Giant side, number 25 in pass protection. Green Bay actually number 24 in that pass rush. Kind of surprising there. We've had a lot of hubbub there with the trade right before the season started, with Micah Parsons coming in there, but it's not leading to tons and tons of sacks, at least in scenarios where you would not expect them. So Green Bay 24th in pass rush, Giants 25th in pass protection, pretty even there. I expect the Giants actually to have more time than they're used to throw the ball, or at least not taking sacks. Pass DVOA wise, though, very much different. Giants 21st, Green Bay number 10 in pass DVOA. Interesting note here, we should have Jameis Winston passing the ball. If they are getting some pressure on him, I'd expect some turnovers here from the Green Bay defense, especially if their offense is putting up a ton of points. That's going to force Jameis Winston into passing situations. They'll get more turnovers, which will also lead to more points for Green Bay. Really like them to cover that 7-point Vegas line. I think they will be putting up tons and tons of points in this matchup. Run game-wise, Green Bay is very good on defense. Number 6 and number 8. The Giants have been pretty poor in that regard. Number 23 and number 17. Would not expect this offense to be very good this week. I expect Green Bay's offense to be very good. That defense is probably in play here too against Jameis Winston. It may be a popular play though in DFS. Probably likely expensive here. Again, playing Jameis Winston. Giants do play quick, number 8 in neutral situation. Green Bay 22nd in neutral situation. All right, number 9 game total on the main slate is another divisional matchup, NFC South. Carolina heading into the Dome of Atlanta on a 41.5-point Vegas total. Atlanta 3.5-point home favorites gives them a team implied total of 22.5. 13th best on the main slate. Carolina at 19 is the 19th best on the main slate out of 22. Carolina 18 in pass protection, 29th in pass DVOA, pretty bad. Atlanta number 2 in pass rush, number 2 in pass DVOA. I expect Bryce Young to have a very, very bad game here against this Atlanta defense. Under a lot of pressure, not explosive. We've seen that pretty much from him most of his career outside of the last half of last year. Really looking like a bad matchup here for Bryce Young. Atlanta's defense, I think, is actually an interesting DFS play. On the running side, though, Carolina is number 6 in run blocking, number 9 in run DVOA. Atlanta really bad in run defense, number 31 in run stopping, number 27 in run DVOA. Expect Rico Dowdle to carry this offense. If they're going to be moving the ball, it's going to be through him and in that run game. So watch out. Bryce Young and pass game probably very poor in this. Carolina run game probably very, very good in this matchup. Atlanta side 9 in pass protection on offense. Carolina 28th in pass rush on defense. Expect Michael Penix to have plenty of time to throw the ball. They haven't been super good in that department. They're 20th in pass DVOA, but fortunately for them, Carolina's 23rd. With time to throw the ball, I think we do see Atlanta a little bit better than they have been this season in the pass game. Down the run game, Atlanta 25th in run blocking, Carolina 20th across the board on defense, and then 13th for run DVOA for Atlanta on offense. So kind of a mixed bag there for Atlanta, but nothing too crazy to write home for. I think Bijan Robinson can do well in a scenario where it's either even or slightly below average. He is good enough to overcome that. Along with that pass game being pretty good there from Atlanta, I think they can cover this 3.5-point favorite over Carolina in this matchup. Carolina plays low at 24, Atlanta 21st. The only saving grace for Carolina is perhaps that run game is so good. They control the ball and keep Atlanta from scoring some points. All right, second to last game here. Number 10 on the main slate, Baltimore heading into Cleveland. There is some weather involved. It sounds like some wind heading into Cleveland for this matchup, but it is a 39-point Vegas game total. Very low here. The 7.5-point road favorites for Baltimore over Cleveland. That gives them a 23.25 team implied total, which is 8th best. Shockingly, Cleveland at 15.75 is not the lowest team on the main slate at 21st out of 22 teams. Baltimore 24th in pass protection. Cleveland number 5 in the pass rush. I'd expect Lamar Jackson to be under a lot of pressure, needing to get that ball out quicker. Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews probably the best beneficiaries of a matchup like that. Pass DVOA wise is pretty even there. Baltimore number 10, Cleveland 14 on defense. Expect those studs to eat. I don't know if Baltimore necessarily has that, but Zay Flowers pretty good. Mark Andrews serviceable. Run game, Cleveland's been very good on defense. Number 2 and number 1. Baltimore not as good. Number 21 and number 12. Will be interesting to see how Lamar Jackson improves this as the time goes on. But really looking like if Baltimore is interested in moving the ball, probably going to have to do it by getting the ball out quick on the pass game side. Run game side does not look as good for them. Cleveland side, 19 in pass protection. Baltimore 31st in that pass rush. Not generating a lot of sacks there. Cleveland, though, number 32 in offensive pass DVOA. Baltimore 21st in pass DVOA. Not expect them to be very effective. We do have a wind concern here as well. So Cleveland pass game probably not going to be doing a whole lot in this, despite probably having some time to throw. Would expect the dink and dunk aspect to the tight ends and running backs in a matchup like this. Run game wise, Cleveland 31st and 29th in the red. Baltimore 27th and 23rd also in the red. Slight favor here for the defense, but I would expect Cleveland to be able to run the ball a little bit more effectively than they have so far this season. They do play pretty quick. Number 10 offensive neutral situation. Baltimore very slow at 27th, but if Cleveland does want to move the ball, they're probably going to have to do it on the ground. A little bit opposite of Baltimore, who I think is going to be better through the air this week. So interesting one here. I don't expect them to be putting up a lot of points in this. This 39 Vegas game total also tells us the same thing. So nothing really to say about that one. All right, and then we have the worst game on the main slate at 37 for a Vegas game total. Pretty low there. Houston heading into Tennessee as 6-point road favorites. That gives them a 21.5 team implied total as the favorite, 15th best on the main slate out of 22 teams. Tennessee at 15.5 as the underdog is the worst on the main slate. Houston with Davis Mills, 16th in pass protection. Tennessee number 8 actually in pass rush, so they are generating sacks there. Davis Mills probably going to be under a little bit of pressure here, needing to get the ball out a little bit quick. Sounded like he looked like a dumpster fire for most of last week and then kind of lit it up at the very last moment. This is not looking good necessarily for him. Pass DVOA-wise, Houston's 18, Tennessee 22nd. Kind of an even up matchup here. Nico Collins is probably going to be the only one from Houston that you're interested in putting in any starting lineups. Run blocking wise, Houston 19, Tennessee 23rd. Slight favor for the offense, but pretty even. And then run DVOA, Houston 26 on offense, Tennessee 28th on offense. Again, even up. Studs eat in those scenarios. I don't think that's Woody Marks, but he is going to be the beneficiary of a better than average run game this week. Houston probably needing to get the ball out a little bit quicker, but should be okay in that pass game here against Tennessee. Just not expecting a ton of points there with Davis Mills at the helm. Tennessee side, 31st in pass protection, 31st in pass DVOA. Houston been very good in the pass department. 8th in pass rush, number 1 in pass DVOA. Really, really bad game here for Cam Ward to come back off of the bye into something like this. Probably not going to see him do very well against this Houston squad. Run blocking, though, Tennessee 15, Houston 13 in stopping the run. Standard day at the office in terms of getting hit at or behind or in front of the line of scrimmage. Run DVOA-wise, though, Houston top 10 at number 9, Tennessee 30th in run DVOA. Really looks like a bad game here for Tennessee. I would expect them that 15 points based off of what I see here. Next to impossible to achieve. I would expect them more in the 3 to 6 range than 15, but what do I know here? Vegas setting that game total at 15.5 anyway. Houston plays slow, 30th. Tennessee middle of the pack at 16. Does look like Vegas game total 37, already accounting for the ugly matchups here. All right, hopping into the island game of Sunday Night Football. Very good football game here. Detroit heading into Philadelphia. Philadelphia are 2.5-point home favorites here on a 46.5 Vegas game total. At 46.5, right on the borderline of where I start considering maybe I want a defense or a kicker in my optimal lineup. But Philadelphia has that 24.5 team implied total. Detroit 22 points. Detroit 11th in pass protection. Philly 15th in the pass rush. Standard day at the office here for Jared Goff. Pass DVOA wise, 6 for Detroit, 11 for Philadelphia. Slight favor of the offense. Wouldn't expect anything too crazy. Dan Campbell calling the shots here, though. Would expect Jameson Williams to get a little more involved than he had been most of the season, as we saw last week. The run game does look to be pretty juicy for Detroit here. 13th in run blocking. Philadelphia 26th in stopping the run. So when Detroit runs the ball, I'd expect them to be gaining positive yardage almost all of the time. Run DVOA, Detroit number 6, Philadelphia 21st. A large favor here for Detroit's offense as well. Expect them to be very explosive, gaining positive yardage, very explosive in that run game. Really good for both Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Philadelphia side, number 22 in pass protection. Detroit number 3 in that pass rush. I would expect some sacks here on Jalen Hurts. He's going to be under a little bit of pressure, needing to get that ball out quicker. Watch out for Goddard and Barkley to get a little bit more involved in this game, or for Hurts to scramble a little bit more. Pass DVOA-wise, Detroit number 3, Philly number 7. Really not looking good. We did see Philadelphia get shut down by Green Bay's defense, who isn't nearly as good as Detroit's here on paper, so that could continue this week against Detroit. Run game, Philly 30th in run blocking, Detroit 25th. They've been really bad in terms of getting at or behind the line of scrimmage in Philly. This looks like one where maybe they're getting a little more positive yardage on a play-by-play basis, but still they're pretty bad in that category. Run DVOA, Detroit number 7, Philly number 22. I'm just going to go ahead, hit that right away. This looks like on paper a pretty easy upset victory here for Detroit heading into Philadelphia. Would not expect Philly to be putting up 24.5 in a matchup like this. I don't see them doing that, and I do see Detroit, if they're going to be scoring points, they're going to be doing the majority of the point scoring in this matchup. Both teams play slow. Vegas game total 46.5. I don't know if I'm necessarily a fan of that, but it's probably right where you need to be. Detroit probably going over 22, Philadelphia under 24.5. Somewhere balances out right around 46 points probably. But yeah, I'd expect Detroit to win this one. Sorry, Philly. Does not look like a good matchup for you guys at home. All right, final game here is our Monday night game. Dallas and Vegas should be a fantasy bonanza, hopefully, with two bad defenses here. Vegas game total of 50, which tells you they are expecting some points, which at a Vegas game total that high, I always think, hey, my optimal lineups for island game matchups probably contain all running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and quarterbacks in the lineups. No defenses, no kickers typically. Dallas are 3.5-point road favorites. That gives them a 26.75 team implied total. Vegas at 23.25 for their team implied total. Dallas is number 2 in offensive pass protection. Vegas 26 in the pass rush. Should not expect Dak to get sacked in this game. Probably will have plenty of time to throw. And then that pass DVOA is even up at 13 apiece. Normally we say studs eat in this scenario. I think they have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens both should be very good in this realm. And if they do have plenty of time to throw, wouldn't be shocked to see Ferguson also getting some targets, as I think just Dak likes throwing to the tight end. And if he's got time to throw, he might dink and dunk over there. Dallas in run blocking wise, number 5, Vegas 17th, and defense, Dallas 8th in run DVOA, Vegas 16th. So big favor here for Dallas's offense in the pass game as well. Time to throw, probably dominating there as well on the ground. I'd expect Dallas to be able to put up quite a few points. 26 seems a little low to me in this dome environment. I think Dallas puts up more than that in this matchup. Vegas 26 in pass protection, Dallas 26 in that pass rush. They did just get some defensive players right before the trade deadline. Quinnen Williams pretty good here, so just keep an eye out for that. Vegas 30th in pass DVOA, Dallas 30th in their pass DVOA. Obviously a deadlock here for both of those teams. In those scenarios, I would say, hey, Dallas, defense has been really bad. Vegas also been really bad, but expect them to play better in this matchup against a terrible defense like this. Again, they did pick up some defensive players before the trade deadline, so Dallas might be a little bit better than this in reality than they are on paper. In terms of run blocking, Vegas dead last, number 32 and 32. Unfortunate for Ashton Genty fantasy owners that their line is so bad. Dallas, though, 22nd in stopping the run, 29th in run DVOA. Probably going to find it a little bit easier this week to run against this Dallas defense than he has been so far this season there in Vegas. So will be an interesting one there. I could see them putting up some points. 24 does seem about right for them. I think Dallas can blow past that. 27-ish team implied total. Dallas does play very quick at number 4 in neutral situation pace of play. Vegas is at 25th for their neutral situation pace of play. Just keep those things in mind as you're building that lineup. But really do like Dak double stacks, maybe even triple stacks. Javonte Williams, can you get a cheap option from Vegas? They should have some pass catchers that are probably pretty cheap, and you might be able to get away with it there. Michael Mayer, perhaps, but yeah, interesting one there. I do see Dallas putting up some points. Vegas can also put up points, but that remains to be seen. Dallas has been really, really bad on defense. So that's going to do it for this week's show of the Adjusted Line Play Report for Week 11. Thanks, everybody, if you made it this far. If you did and you are not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. That would be fantastic. Leave a like, leave a comment. I always appreciate those things. And as always, let's go out there and win some money together. Peace.